Good evening. Good to see so many of you in the chat already. Thursday evening, 10 p.m. or 5 p.m. if you're on the East Coast, or my friend Cosplay Chris is in the chat. What time is it there? Like, I'm guessing 8 in the morning, Chris, or something like that. Thanks for showing up. Good to see you, buddy. Really interesting tier ranking this week, as chosen by everybody here in the chat. Last, when did we do this now? Last Sunday we had a little vote, and then during the week we've been voting in the community section, making sure everybody's favorite Carpenter, Romero, or Craven movies are included. Couldn't include everything because we would have been voting all week, and it kind of gets a bit. Well, you need a lot of. There needs to be space between each poll. So I do like a good 12 hours between each poll, and there's only really 3 days to do it in before I have to start prepping everything, putting things together. But we had, I don't know, some 35 movies or something like that. I think I put 9 through myself. I put 3 from each director through to the tier vote myself. The obvious ones, the ones we knew would go through. The Halloweens, the Elm Streets, the Screams, that kind of stuff. A few personal choices of mine as well, and then the rest was down to you guys to vote during the week. And it was interesting. I was surprised with some of the choices. One of my favorite Carpenter films of all time didn't get a look in. I think it maybe finished last in the poll, which was Assault on Precinct 13. Maybe it's because not as many people have seen that movie as what else was in that poll now? Maybe it was Big Trouble in Little China or something like that. Prince of Darkness, I can't remember now. But yeah, it was disappointing to see that Assault on Precinct 13 didn't go through. But anyway, we've still got some great Carpenter movies. We've got some great Romero movies, and we have some great Wes Craven movies as well. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's just have a look and see who's in the chat first. 60 of you in the chat at the moment. We have Chester, Lee Wilson, Dino Rabbit, John Jones, who else? Cosplay Chris, Connor McQuillan, Davey Dread's here, Daz is here, Moni Tony's here, Wordy Words here. Brandon, good to see you here. I didn't think you were going to be here, but thank you for showing up, buddy. Really appreciate it. Wraith is here as well. Marisol's here. Who else have we got? Quite a few of you, 59 of you at the moment. Thank you as well to those of you that joined the Facebook group. I think I had like 130 people join in the first 3 or 4 days, which was very exciting. Everybody introducing themselves, talking about what they're into, what sort of movies. People have been running polls in there, that kind of stuff. So thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining. It's a space I wanted to use just for my stuff, just for Only Sans stuff. Obviously, the TSL stuff's separate, and I wanted to keep it separate to that. So, yeah, thank you for all those of you that joined. If you haven't joined, the link is in the community chat, and it's also down below as well in the description for this video. Okay, before we start, I think what we should do is, usually I go back and take a look at what was released around the time and talk about pop culture around the time that certain movies were released. I think we'll do something a bit different. Let's just pay tribute to these three, this holy trinity of directors, should we say. Somebody called it that in the chat the other day, and I really liked it. So let's take a look at that first. Before we start ranking films and throwing hot takes into the chat, it's worth taking a moment to recognize who we're talking about tonight. Because this isn't just a tier list, it's 3 careers that shaped modern cinema. John Carpenter was born on January the 16th, 1948, and is very much still with us. Still composing, still opinionated, still talking about money, and still reminding everyone that less really is more. Across horror, sci-fi, action, and satire, Carpenter created some of the most recognizable moods in film history. His work is lean, confident, and instantly identifiable, to the point where you can spot a Carpenter film within about 10 seconds, and usually by the music. Then there's George A. Romero, born February the 4th, 1940, who sadly passed away on July the 16th, 2017, following a battle with lung cancer. Romero didn't just invent the modern zombie, he turned horror into social commentary. His films challenged authority, consumerism, class, and human nature itself. He proved that horror could be angry, political, and deeply human, even when the cast was mostly undead. And standing alongside them is Wes Craven, born on August the 2nd, 1939, who sadly passed away on August the 30th, 2015 after a fight with brain cancer. Craven had a knack for arriving at exactly the right moment. When horror needed a nightmare, he gave us Freddy. When slashers were running on fumes, he reinvented them with Scream. He understood audiences and trends, and when a genre needed a sharp turn rather than a repeat. Together, these three directors didn't just make great horror films, they expanded what genre cinema could do. They crossed into sci-fi, action, satire, thriller and drama, influenced generations of filmmakers, and built legacies that are still being borrowed from today. So tonight isn't about tearing films down, it's about celebrating three filmmakers whose impact is impossible to overstate. And then immediately arguing about which one did it best. Let's get into it. There you go. That was my little... Put that together about an hour before the show started. I realized I couldn't go through any sort of pop culture moments, given that they've got careers that span such, you know, from what would we say now, 1960 whatever through to now almost, you know. So yeah, I just thought I'd throw that together. Seemed like a nice fitting way to kick things off. And then I thought what we'd look at is the ones that didn't make the cut. Just pay tribute to a few of those titles as well. Let me just turn this music down. I left it on the other week and it was pretty annoying throughout the whole stream. So the ones that we put to vote that didn't go through, unfortunately, were movies like Deadly Friend, Night Riders from George A. Romero. We also had Prince of Darkness that didn't quite get through. Shocker as well. Shocker didn't get through. It did okay in the vote, but didn't quite get through. Diary of the Dead, which I actually quite rate. I think it's actually quite a good little movie, Diary of the Dead. A really low-budget movie. It's probably one of the cheaper movies, I mean, around the time that George A. Romero put together. But I thought it was effective. Assault on Precinct 13, still, you know, upset about that, but hey-ho. Scream 3 didn't make the cut either. A lot of you just completely dismissed Scream 3. I think it may have finished last in the poll. And then we had Monkey Shines, which didn't get through either. Also In the Mouth of Madness, which I honestly thought might have done it, but obviously the titles in Carpenter's arsenal are so good. I mean, he had such a great run between, what would it have been now, 75 to 87, 88, something like that. Didn't quite make it. The Crazies didn't make it either, as well as Starman. That one didn't get through. And Starman I watched last year for the first time in a long time. Thought it was absolutely terrific. If you haven't seen Starman, you should take a look, because it's a movie that I think needs revisiting, reappraising. I mean, it got great reviews when it first came out. Jeff Bridges obviously was nominated for an Oscar. But I think it's one of those Carpenter movies that often gets left behind, often gets forgotten about. Red Eye as well didn't make it through, and I think that was it. Yeah, that was the last one that didn't quite cut it on the vote that you guys took part in. So let me just get my stuff right here. 1 second. Turn that one off. Turn this one on. The link is in the chat. I'm going to just paste it again if you want to take part in this vote. As you can see, we're going to vote on A Nightmare on Elm Street to start with. But rather than me read out all the kind of little synopsis things and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to do what we did before, what we did with the final of when we did the Horror of the 80s tier that went for 10, 11 weeks or whatever it was. On that final episode there, for the big final, we actually watched the trailers for the movies, or the TV spots for the movies. And I've done that with this with this tier as well. So we're going to watch 21 trailers whilst the vote is happening. So I'm going to kick off the vote now. There we go. The vote for A Nightmare on Elm Street is now live. If you want to vote for that, go for it. The link is in the chat right now. It's pinned in the chat. And at the same time, let's take a look at the trailer.
The kids on Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them. No one knows where it came from or who will visit next.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
A nightmare on Elm Street. If they don't wake up screaming, they won't wake up at all.
Now you're really seeing things right.
I love that. I love that little Hoyt logo at the end there. Apologies for that. I was scrambling for the button to turn the tier off there. But let me just move this tier down. Then we can definitely make sure that it's not covered up next time when I run the next trailer. We have 24 seconds left to vote on A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven's probably his most first or second most popular movie from 1984. Running at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the vote is up on that one. Okay. The way that we're going to work this out is there are 3 tiers, as you can see. The first tier is Genre Master. The second is Survive the Night. And the third is Buried in the Fog. I didn't think we needed more than 3 tiers in this particular tier ranking. I think what we'll do is the director that has the most titles in the top tier wins. And if it gets to the point whereas they all have 3 each in the top tier or something like that, then we'll go on individual points within each movie itself. So looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street, 28 of you voted it in the top tier, 3 of you voted it in the second tier, and 4 of you voted it in the third tier. Okay, so let's move on. And our next movie is They Live. Here goes.
From John Carpenter.
Wake up! They're all about you, all around you.
They have the good cars and the best jobs.
They're running the whole show.
They control what we see and hear.
We have been lulled into a trance.
They control our very thoughts.
Take a look. Stay away from me.
They're not of this world.
Look at them, they're everywhere.
John Carpenter's They Live. Rated R.
I love watching these old TV spots. They give you a good idea of the type of editing, and you can tell by looking at them exactly what decade they're in. When we get onto some of the ones that are kind of 60s and 70s, and then some more sort of in the 2010s, I think, later on, it's interesting to see how much things change over the years with TV spots, because TV spots really do age. They really do, especially the network ones, because a lot of the time those network TV spots that they've built for the network rather than a studio-made TV spot are just terrible. And we have a few of those in here, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. Okay, 12 seconds left to vote on They Live. They Live released in 1987, I believe. 1988, and holds an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, you've got a sneak peek of what we're voting on next there. 34 of you voted this. It ended up in Survive the Night. More of you put it in the middle section than the top section. So 14 of you put it in the Genre Master section, 17 in Survive the Night, and 3 of you in Buried in the Fog. So it looks like so far Wes Craven is winning, but I'm sure things are going to change as we go on. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Okay, John Jones says, Genre Master, Elm Street 1 is one of the absolute best examples of horror. The older I get, the more I appreciate it, both from a horror aspect and a filmmaking aspect. I think I agree with you there as well. Daniel Garcia says Creepshow from Romero was a masterpiece. More of Creepshow in a little bit. Paul says, still can't vote, unfortunately, and updated yesterday, but will give my rancid recollections. Thank you, buddy. Hope you're doing all right. Daz says, Nightmare, my favorite film of all time. Obviously putting it in the top spot. Tony Foray says, I want to vote fifth tier. You would, Tony. You would. I already saw you put in there something along the lines of these three directors don't belong standing alongside each other, or something along those lines. They're all totally different. Well, that's the thing. They are completely different. They're totally different directors, but we're talking about what they did for the genre as a whole. They're all genre directors. They all had their own different styles, and they're all, genre directors that are held in high regard still today. People use them as blueprints for modern day films, and rightly so as well. Paul says, no, Elm Street, I'd give it top tier. Not perfect, but very good. And John Jones says, actually wrote about They Live for a sociology class in college and got an A on it. Good for you, mate. Good for you. Daz says, hot take, but maybe Keith David should be the lead in They Live. That's an interesting thought. You mean switch the two of them round? That would be interesting. I think it'd still work. The fight scene in They Live is a great scene, in my opinion. I think they nail it with that scene. No music or stings. It's perfect. Yeah. I mean, it is just like a WWE fight, isn't it? But it's good fun. Super violent. Don Max says, I saw They Live in the theater on release. I don't think I did. I think I would have only been about 15 when it first came out. And it was an 18, I'm pretty sure, in the UK. It's one I don't think it got much of a release in the cinemas in the UK. So I'm pretty sure I didn't see it in the cinema. Jason says, anyone who ranked They Live below top tier knows nothing about filmmaking. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is The Thing. Let me try and find a trailer for The Thing for you. Here goes.
Its origin, alien. Location, Antarctica. Age, unknown. Intent, survival. Destination, man. John Carpenter's The Thing, rated R.
From John Carpenter.
There we go. Almost started another trailer then. So The Thing, released in 1982, 45 seconds left to vote. Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, Keith David, a ton of other well, not a ton. There's only about, how many is there in The Thing? 12 or something like that? Not a great deal. Not a huge cast. Ennio Morricone doing the score, or doing some of it. Not a lot of it. John Carpenter's incredibly polite about what happened with that score. And those of you that have bought into the Thing expanded documentary will learn a lot more about it as John Carpenter's interviewed on that front. 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. 10 seconds left to vote. A lot of you voting on this. 36 of you have voted so far. 5 seconds remaining. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, in first place, it is by 6 points. It's in first place as well. 28 voted for Elm Street. 34 voted for The Thing in the top place. 2 voted it in the Survive the Night section, and 1 voted it in Buried in the Fog. Going to be a difficult one to beat this, and I have a feeling that there's probably only Carpenter that can challenge The Thing. That's my feeling on this. That's my feeling. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat about The Thing. Obviously, I excluded The Thing from last week's episode of remakes because it would have swept the board, as it did in the Horror of the 80s tier that we did. But yeah, The Thing, one of my favorites of all time. Not my favorite Carpenter film of all time. Probably about my third favorite. I think it's interchangeable between Halloween and The Fog, then The Thing, then Escape, Big Trouble, Assault, all that kind of stuff. Absolute Genre Master says, says Davy Dread. Bloody Boston says, with these three directors, who would you have as your fourth on the Mount Rushmore of horror directors? I'm thinking Clive Barker. I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody like Alex Arger. I'm a huge Alex Arger fan. Maybe somebody like that would go on there. They Live looks amazing in 4K, says Brandon. I think it's the last in the Carpenter's flawless run, starting with Assault on Precinct 13. It is. I think it is. I think you're right on that one. Paul H says, surely you like this, Tony. Come on. Tony says the voiceover guy was absolutely raking it in. And Muckman says, I'm here to chew bubblegum and vote Carpenter, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Don Max said, I'd be shocked if The Thing doesn't end up in first place. Me too. Well, let's carry on and see how it goes. So next we have The People Under the Stairs. So I think I have a trailer for it somewhere. There we go. Here we go with The People Under the Stairs from 1991, directed by Wes Craven.
One house that no one will enter. Now, Wes Craven, the director of A Nightmare on Elm Street, takes you inside.
She's been feeding that thing between the walls again.
Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs, rated R, starts Friday, November 1st at theaters everywhere.
Now, the first toothbrush creates...
Bit of a toothbrush ad at the end there as well. I thought I'd leave that on. People Under the Stairs, released in 1991. Brandon Quinton Adams, Everett McGill, Wendy Robbie, with music by Graham Revell. 30 seconds left to vote, folks. Rotten Tomatoes has this at 71%. A boy discovers horrifying secrets inside a suburban home ruled by sadistic landlords. 15 seconds left to vote. It's currently overall in last place. However, it's in the Survive the Night section, which is the second tier. And time is up. So, none of you voted it in the top. None of you voted it in the top spot at all. 16 of you voted it in Survive the Night, and 10 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. That's 38% of the vote. Okay, let's have a look at the chat, see where we are. Myers fan says, hey Andrew, how are you doing? Says, The Thing is my all-time favorite monster movie, and not before time that it got added to the National Film Registry. Yeah, I saw today, didn't Karate Kid get added? I think that was announced today, if I read that rightly. I just saw the headline this afternoon. Morricone was a hero to Carpenter. He wasn't ever going to badmouth. No, and he does. Even now, he's very diplomatic about the way that he talks about that. Even though Morricone's long gone, he's still got huge amounts of respect for him. And it's an interesting little segment to the documentary. I'm sure you'll watch it at some point, Brandon. And Jamie says, if The Thing doesn't finish top, I'll eat my hat. Chester says, The Thing will always be the masterpiece under Carpenter. And Tony says, The Thing is better than Halloween. One thing on The Thing Expanded, do they show the test screen ending of them getting back and being tested? No, I don't think that it was shot, but I don't think anyone has it. I'm pretty sure nobody has it. There's a Carpenter shot an ending to The Thing that he didn't tell Universal about, whereas McCready ends up in some backstreet doctor's place in New York and ends up getting tested, and he's negative. So, but that doesn't tell you who The Thing is. It just tells you it's not McCready. So, that's and he never showed it to Universal. They did shoot it. He never showed it to Universal. At that point, the relationship completely fell apart, and then he got fired from Firestarter, and the rest is history. Paul says, only watched People Under the Stairs once and don't recall liking it much. Put it on the rewatch list. Tony 4i says, lasted about 15 minutes with People Under the Stairs before hitting eject. Oh, wow. And Brandon says, we had 99-cent second-run theatre in my city, and I saw People Under the Stairs about 5 times in 1 week. Love this movie. Could never get into People Under the Stairs, and since watching Twin Peaks, I can't not see the baddies as Ed and Nadine, so it's too funny. Never watched Twin Peaks. Never watched Twin Peaks. Why the Jamie? I keep calling you Muck, man. It's Jamie. Jamie, why is the Aliens film score playing over the People Under the Stairs trailer? Was it the Aliens score? I didn't realize. I'm going to get dinged now. I'm sure I'm going to get dinged after this anyway because there's so many soundtracks on these trailers that I'm playing. 93 people watching at the moment. Come on in, folks. If you want to vote, the link is in the chat right there. It'll take you to an external website where you can cast your vote when I start the poll in a few seconds. Let me just see. Apologies, folks. It's not personal. I can't read out every single chat because there's just so many of them. And, I like to get these streams done in around about 2 hours. Andrew says, Tony, the Carpenter voting sections were tough as fuck compared to Craven and Romero, hence the omissions. Paul says, I've literally never heard of that thing ending before, mate. Well, yeah, when you watch the documentary, you'll hear all about it. I think it's written about online. It's part of the interview with Carpenter. But yeah, he did shoot an ending that he didn't tell Universal about because they hated the ending so much, the ambiguity of it. And they did everything they could to try and get him to change it. And he kind of took a step back, went off and shot it, and then decided not to tell them he'd done it and thought he'd stand his ground. Yeah. Like, how do they get back and all that kind of stuff? It's yeah. Okay, let's kick off the next vote. And it is The Fog. Oh, let's find that Fog trailer. Here we go.
Something is moving in the fog.
Who's there?
Something not quite human.
Who is that?
In Halloween, John Carpenter created a night of absolute fear. Now, he has conjured an evil so intense, not even the dawn can drive it away. The Fog, a study in unrelenting terror. Rated R.
They're so cool, these trailers. Really I enjoyed picking them this afternoon. They just capture the moment. They really do. They capture the year that they were, the decade they were released in perfectly. 37 seconds left to vote on The Fog. It's currently third in the top tier. I'd like it to win, but it's not going to do that. Obviously directed by John Carpenter. Adrian Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis in a role that just really doesn't need to be there. They just needed it for the poster. Tom Atkins and Hal Holbrook. Janet Leigh as well. And Nancy Keys. 75% on Rotten Tomato. Deserves to be 110% in my mind. And we have 3 seconds left to vote. And the vote is over. There we go. The Fog is in third place. 37 of you voted in total. 73% of you voted it in the top place. Just 1 point behind A Nightmare on Elm Street. 27 of you voted it in top place. 8 of you voted it in Survive the Night. That's 22%. And 5% of you voted it in the third tier, Buried in the Fog. Just 2 of you. Let's have a look and see what's going on in the chat. Let's see what you guys think of The Fog. Where's the Fog remake? Absolute classic. I'm sure. I bet you do. I bet you do like it, Tony, as well. Like, Tony's a big fan of the original Fog. Fantastic. And if you don't feel that way, I'm just going to tell everyone you do. It was nominated for a Razzie. Remember how critics hated The Thing back then? The Thing was nominated for a Razzie? I know critics hated it, and that's why its Rotten Tomato score is down at 85%, because I'm sure if it was released today, it'd be close to 100. And I think it's taken its time to get to 85% because people have reappraised it over the years and things. Conal McQuillan says that fog trailer was great, Darren. That has a few great teases. And Ray said the fog used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. Now it's a film I love. Me too. Jester said the fog is a good scary ghost story. Great cast, good Carpenter score. The atmosphere was great. And Brandon says if I had a ton of money, I would live where they shot the fog. It's such a gorgeous and atmospheric place. It is. I mean, which part though? Because I think I've told you before that when Frank and I went to Pasadena, obviously some of the scenes are shot in Pasadena, and the rest of it are way up, like 8 hours away up the California coastline. Because we got in the car and said, right, should we go to the lighthouse now? And we punched it in the sat nav, and it said like 9-hour drive or something. So we're like, we'll forget that. Daz says, I think the fog is fantastic. It's fantastical, atmospheric, and I want to love it, but it's just such a dull watch for me. Oh, wow. Okay. Lee says the fog is also a great 4K transfer. I agree, it is. And Paul says the fog is again top tier. Another of my favorite movies. Quite a few of my top 10 are JC, and for me, another perfect movie. Andrew said the fog is an absolute Carpenter banger, and like some of us have traveled thousands of miles to visit the location, speaks volumes. It does. Did you go to the lighthouse? I'd be interested to know if you did that. It had a better backstory. What, the original fog? You don't need the backstory. There's enough. I've told you in this film. There's enough. There's one line which just sums everything up. The celebration of this town is a travesty. We're honoring murderers. That's it. That's all you need. And Andrew says, I'm sitting in my Buccaneer tee right now. Excellent. That's one thing I wish I'd have bought when I was in the Buccaneer, is a bloody t-shirt, but I didn't. I got a glass and the shot glasses and all that kind of stuff, but forgot the t-shirt. Okay, let's kick off. Let's kick off the next vote, and we're looking at The Dark Half, George A. Romero's Dark Half from 1993, with Timothy Hutton, Amy Madigan, obviously, from Weapons. Christopher Young did the music. It's sitting at a kind of measly 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, but let's have a look at the trailer.
Thad Beaumont's books are larger than life.
Whoever would have thought you was a celebrity? I'm not the celebrity, George Stark is.
Hotter than hell.
These behaviors could be interpreted as schizophrenia.
And badder than bad.
You really don't realize what you're like when you write those books, do you? It's like watching Jekyll turn into Hyde.
Ah!
Based upon a book by Stephen King. The Dark Half. Rated R. Starts Friday, April 23rd.
There we go. There's the trailer for The Dark Half, and you have 35 seconds left to vote. It's currently in last place out of the 6 films that we voted on already. It's in the third place on the Survive the Night tier. 20 seconds left to vote. The log line for this is: a writer's violent pseudonym manifests physically after being killed off. I haven't seen The Dark Half for a long time now. Probably a good 15, 20 years since I've seen it. 1 second left. And the vote is over, and it dropped. It dropped to the third tier, Buried in the Fog. 2 of you voted it in Genre Master, the top tier. That was only 10% of the vote. 8 of you voted it in Survive the Night. That's 40% of the vote. And 50% of the vote, just 10 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. Only 20 voters on that one. I guess that not too many people have seen The Dark Half. The shite half, Tony. You never never let yourself down at all. My favourite line as a fog is, can I get a stomach powder and a Coke? Well, that's little Andy, isn't it? And Don Mack says the worst thing about The Fog is John Carpenter's acting performance. Yeah. Interestingly, in the comic books, Bennett is in the comic. So they did a comic book sequel, which is all focused around Andy. I think it's like 6 comics, maybe 4. I've got them all anyway. It's really good. Most of the original characters that are old enough to be in a modern day sequel are in the comic book sequel, and it's really, really cool. And Carpenter does make an appearance in it as Bennett. Andrew says, unfortunately, no lighthouse as it was hours away. Maybe next time. Yeah, it's a long drive. It's a beautiful drive, though. Big Sur and everything all the way up there. John Neggers says, still need to check out The Dark Half. Davey Dredd says, The Dark Half has survived the night for me. And Conal McQuillan says, another great trailer, Darren. Wraith says, The Dark Half is a solid Stephen King adaptation, to be honest. And Brandon Collins says, The Dark Half was a great book and it's a competent adaptation. Timothy Hutton should have a bigger career. He looks old now, right? I guess he is. I mean, The Dark Half's what, 32 years old now? But I saw some pictures of him recently and he does look quite old. Evil Alex says, I rewatched Dark Half recently, like it more nowadays, enjoy it a lot. And Andrew says, The Dark Half is Romero's most underrated movie. If Orion hadn't gone arse up, it would have done a lot better at the cinema. People need to pick up the the Vinegar Syndrome 4K release and have a rewatch. Yeah, they that whole Orion collapse thing caused quite a lot of movie delays, didn't it? There were I remember RoboCop 3 being delayed for a few years because of the Orion collapse. Although it's probably not a bad thing. But anyway, let's kick off the next vote. What have we got? We are talking Scream. Wes Craven's Scream from 1996. Dev Campbell, Courtney Cox, David Arquette. Music by Marco Beltrami. A 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's have a look at the trailer.
You're not scared, are you? Someone has taken their love of fear one step too far.
We know you're not the killer.
Solving this mystery.
Everybody's a suspect!
Is going to be murder.
Who are you? The question is, where am I? We all go a little mad sometimes.
Scream, the new thriller from Wes Craven, rated R.
Don LaFontaine. I think it was him in the trailer there. Definitely a 90s trailer, that trailer voice. The editing slightly more slicker than some of the 80s stuff that we've seen. 27 seconds left to vote. Scream is in top tier. So at the moment, we have 2 Carpenters in the top tier and 2 Wes Cravens in the top tier. 15 seconds left, folks. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the vote is up. So 20. Whoops. Switched over to the next one. 22 of you voted it in Genre Master. 12 of you voted it in Survive the Night. And 2 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. I'm guessing there's not, as a franchise, Scream, I don't think it's too popular with my audience, I don't think. I do wonder whether I put Scream and Scream 2 through automatically. I wonder whether Scream 2 would have got through on the vote with you guys. Scream 3 just finished so far back, and was 4th in that particular community poll vote that we did that time. I guess when I look at my audience demographics, the age range for the viewers that I have is between 45 and 54. And so, I guess Scream is one of those franchises that we all think is okay, but we're not as hot on it as maybe somebody that was in their mid-30s to mid-40s, I guess. But anyway, like I say, 22 of you voted it in the top tier, 12 in the mid tier, and just 2 of you in the bottom tier. Let's have a look at the chat, see what you thought of that trailer and what you think of Scream. Wasn't it supposed to be called Scary Movie originally? That rings a bell. Scream is being re-released in cinema next month. Okay, to go with the new movie. John Jones says, I still love Scream. Never scared me even as an 11-year-old, but it's a fun movie and I love plotting. I love the plotting of the whole mystery angle. It's good. It's good fun. I like it. Scream is top tier. Great original concept. Yeah, well, I mean, it was, like I say, he reinvented the genre again after doing it with Nightmare on Elm Street. Scream started well, but drops after second tier, not elite. I love these trailers. So of their time, little time capsules. Love it. They are. That's what I love. I love putting these in here. There are some TV spots people have created which are modern day ones, and it's just like, no, we need to go back and see what it was like when they first came out. Hot take, found Stu Macker incredibly annoying in Scream, even though I love Matthew Lillard. Oh, I think he's terrific in Scream. I really do. I think he's the best thing in it. And for me, when Scream 7 comes out, I wouldn't care. If it was him that was the killer, I wouldn't care. I'd welcome that. Why not? You know, go for it. Go for broke with it. Tony says everything after the OG is just rehashing the first. Chester says love Scream because of Neve Campbell. The score was good. May have Marco Beltrami's score is good. Yeah. Saw Scream in the cinema as soon as she said the original Friday the 13th killer was Jason. I was like, oh shit, you're fucked up. Evil Alex says I like Scream films nowadays more than back then. They're all decent slasher fun. I like to guess the killer in each. Yeah, they're good fun. They're good fun. They're good fun. I'm not a massive Scream fan. I do love that original film. And the second one has grown on me over the years. I never used to really like it, but it has grown on me. I think that scene in the car where they have that car crash and Ghostface is knocked out. She has to crawl out the car, I think is terrific. Scream would have been better regarded if it was just one movie and not a franchise or copied so much. And Marisol says, I'm an 80s kid, so that's why I prefer the 70s and 80s movies. Good for you, Marisol. Okay. Jamie says, these live streams wouldn't be the same without Tony's acerbic comments. Don't give him too much praise, for God's sake. He'll never change. Let's go with the next one. Scream 2. Released in 1997, again directed by Wes Craven. Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Jamie Kennedy. Music by Marco Beltrami. Again, rated higher on Rotten Tomatoes than the original Scream. It's at 82%. And let's check out the trailer.
The way I see it, someone's out to make a sequel. So it's our job to observe the rules of the sequel.
What are you talking about?
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to make a successful sequel. Number 1, the body count is always bigger. Number 2, the death scenes are always much more elaborate.
How do we find the killer, Randy? That's what I want to know.
Well, let's look at the suspects. There's the obvious boyfriend, Derek.
So you think it's Derek?
Not so fast. Forget the boyfriend. It's tired. Who else do we got?
There's
Mickey, the freaky Tarantino film student. But if he's a suspect, so am I. So let's move on.
Maybe you are a suspect.
Well, if I'm a suspect, you're a suspect.
You have a point. Okay, let's move on.
Scream 2. Rated R.
Essentially a whole scene from the film. 4 seconds left to vote, folks. And time is up. Scream 2 finishes at the top of this second tier. Survive the night. Only 2 of you put it in the top tier, in the genre master tier. That's only 6% of the vote. Bear with me while my mic cable falls out. 21 of you voted it in Survive the Night. And 9 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. So definitely some Scream haters in here. 97 of you watching, folks. If you're new to the channel, please give us a like. That would really, really help things. And also, if you're not subscribed, maybe consider it in some way. Believe it or not, and I know it's annoying when people ask you to do this, but only half of my viewership is subscribed to the channel. So only, like, probably in the chat room now, going by that statistic, only half of you, 50% of you, 50 of you are subscribed, which I've, it's just a little button. If you could press it, that'd be really cool. Thank you. Evil Alex says, love the old trailers with old choppy pictures and crispy voiceovers. That fog trailer made me want to rewatch the film again. And Wraith says, if anyone gets a chance, check out the Thing teaser trailer. Count 1970. Paul says, dude, a reselling couple, friends of mine. What's reselling couple? Is that an eBay thing or something? From Vermont, asked what my accent was like. I sent them over to OnlySans. You sent them to me? As my accent, I haven't lived in my hometown for 33 years. 33 years since I moved out of West Yorkshire. So I'm guessing my accent's changed a little bit. Decent Scream sequel, says Evil Alex. Still my favorite Scream sequel. Liev Schreiber is really good in this. And Count says Scream 2. I remember enjoying but survived. Hang on a minute. Scream 2. I remember enjoying but survived here. Diminishing returns after the first. Yeah, none of them are as good as the first film. Brandon says, I find Jamie Kennedy has one of the most punchable faces I've ever seen. And Scream 2 is flawed, but I love it. That opening was incredible. Okay, let's see if there's anything else in here. Dude, at our age, if it's just your mic cable falling off, you're doing okay. I don't know how that happened. It's locked in with I must have got carried away and pushed the button and it fell out. I don't know what happened there. Tony Foray says, your accent is still there, Darren. What, the northern accent? It comes back a lot thicker when I go back home or if my family call me. Just have a drink. You sound exactly the same. Good. Okay. Let's move on to the next vote, which is Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero's 1968 classic, Night of the Living Dead. 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Dwayne Jones, Judith O'Dear. What else have we got here? The music is stock library cues. So let's have a look at the trailer.
Welcome to a night of total terror. Night of the Living Dead. The motion picture called more terrifying than Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. Night of the Living Dead.
Okay, so we have 10 seconds left on that vote there. It's currently 4th in the top tier. And time is up. Time is up. And Night of the Living Dead, 24 of you voted it in the top tier. 9 of you voted it in Survive the Night. And 1 of you put it in Buried in the Fog. I'm guessing that was you, Tony. Just, again, seething, hitting that button. Yeah, whatever. Okay, let's have a look at the chat. A lot of people going on about my accent. I can confirm Darren has criminally dropped his Yorkshire accent. Jamie, when next time I come back up and we meet up for that drink in Fanny's, you'll see it come back. You'll see it come back for sure. It always does come back when I come back home. Chester says Chris Duran played Ghostface in Scream 2 when he killed Cece. And Brandon Collins says, Nick, there's a ton of reasons why I dislike the guy, but he's just never been funny aside from a couple of moments in the first Scream. Oh, Jamie Kennedy, we thought we're talking about. Daz says, always remember, folks, the first zombie you see runs in this film. And Tony Vora says, everyone in here only knows Night of the Living Dead because of Halloween. That's bullshit. What are you talking about? Absolute bullshit. John Jones 6764 says, absolute classic. I may prefer Savini's remake, but this film is still so chilling. I'm visiting the Living Dead Museum this weekend, actually. Been in a mood to stop by. Nice one. Nice one. Bionic Zombie says, I met Romero briefly in Edinburgh at the Land of the Dead showing back in 2005. I've told this story loads of times before. It's the only time where I've absolutely shit the bed when I've met someone famous, because I was having breakfast in a hotel in Edinburgh. I was up there for the festival for a movie. I can't remember the title of it now, but for another movie. And he was staying in the same hotel as me. And as I went for breakfast, he was at the breakfast bar. And I went over and lost my shit and was just like, I could barely speak. I was just, oh, Mr. Romero, I can't believe it's you. I just want to say I'm a big fan, blah, 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 blah. And he just went, I'm just getting some sausages. Can you give me a minute? So, yeah, it was in Van I just went, yeah, and walked off. But, yeah, because I didn't expect him to be there. I had no idea Land of the Dead was showing in the Edinburgh Film Festival because I was so focused on the movie that I was working with. So, yeah, it was an awkward moment, but really, really cool to see him there. And I also went to a Q&A at the BFI South Bank once that it was like an hour long, an hour and a half. Alan Jones was the moderator, and it was great just seeing him talk, and they then had a screening of Night of the Living Dead afterwards, so it was terrific. Night of the Living Dead, a classic, but survived tier for me. Very groundbreaking for its time, but a bit of a dull watch. Oh, I love it. I love it. Just got the Criterion version of it, actually. And it would be a travesty if I get dinged for that Night of the Living Dead trailer. That would be really, really fucking piss poor, because it's public domain. So if I get a ding for that, there's something really wrong with YouTube. Brandon says, without Romero making the classic, the horror landscape would look drastically different. You don't get Carpenter without Romero. Exactly. I agree. And a super chat comes in from Brandon as well. Says, Romero just wanted some damn breakfast, and here comes Darren going all Chris Farley on him. I don't know what came over me, because I'd been in the job for a long time, and that particular, was it that visit? It was certainly in Edinburgh. I'd met Sean Penn and Eddie Izzard and the guy called Stacy Peralta, who basically pioneered skateboarding. The three of them had a meeting in this private room, and I was in there, and I met them, and I was totally fine, totally cool. And then George A. Romero rocks up, and I just lost it. Don't know what happened. We'll not talk about that one. Always regret missing meeting George when I had the chance to. Yeah. He wasn't awkward at all. He was very, very polite with me and got it. He was very polite. He just said, look, yeah, it's very nice. That's really kind. Can I just get some breakfast and then come and see me after? And I just didn't. I'd in my head, I'd bollocksed it up. Okay, let's go with the next vote, which is Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994. Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund, Wes Craven starring in this as well as what's his face from New Line? I forget his name. What's his name? Bob Shea. Bob Shea's in it as well. Meta before Meta was a thing. Like, everybody goes about Scream being the first meta horror. This was one of the first meta horrors. I actually think Jason Lives is one of the first meta horrors. But pretty cool. And I've got a trailer for you here.
The Serpent and the Rainbow. The People Under the Stairs. Last House on the Left. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven, the master of horror, returns at last with a frightening new twist on terror. Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Honestly, I would not go and see that film based on that trailer. It's terrible. Absolutely. That's why I put it up there, because I just thought, this is shocking, is this trailer. Why would anyone want... Maybe that's why the film was a flop, because it wasn't a hit at all, wasn't Wes Craven's New Nightmare. It, what did it take, like 30 million in the US or something? And time is up on the vote. And Wes Craven's New Nightmare finishes in 4th place on the 2nd tier. Nobody voted it in the genre master section. Nobody voted... Whoops, hang on a minute. Oh, the Martin votes just started. Let me just go back to New Nightmare. Yeah, genre master. 9 of you voted it in genre master. 10 of you voted it in Survive the Night. And 10 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. Yeah, Retro Game Man Dan says this is a hilariously bad trailer. It was. Oh, seriously, I watched that and I thought, I've got to use that because people won't believe how poor the marketing was for this film. The actual cinema trailers weren't quite as bad as that. But yeah, I've just put the link back in the chat, folks, if any of you that are new to the room want to join in. Let's have a look here. Daz says, New Nightmare was my first DVD. Didn't even own a player. Love it, but 2nd tier. And Kingslayer. Hey, Kingslayer says, New Nightmare is good, but I would have put Red Eye in this spot since New Nightmare just rehashed scenes from the original. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would have probably gone for Red Eye as well, but the people spoke and Red Eye barely got any votes. Evil Alex says, New Nightmare was a prototype for Scream. You have the calls and meta horror film commentary. Yeah. And Paul says, New Nightmare, I'll be generous and give Survive because I watched once and thought was okay. It's actually worth a watch again. Although I must admit, when we did the episode on TSL, Frank and it wasn't as good as I remembered. It's good, but I seem to think it was great when I first saw it back in the 90s. There are some really cool moments, like when Freddy first comes into contact with Heather Langenkamp in the bedroom. That whole Miss Me scene when he comes face to face with her, I think is a really good sequence. Also, the sequence in the hospital as well. Andrew says, just boring shite. Everything after 3 is pants, and watching the new 4K set confirmed it for me. Nick, hey Nick, how you doing? Says Freddy should have always had that coat. Loved how he wore that in New Nightmare. Yeah, that long trench coat. Although there is a shot, if you're from the UK and you remember the poster for Dream Warriors and the VHS artwork as well, when he's wearing that kind of long sort of tweed coat or whatever it is, that's pretty cool. Yeah, he's got like, I don't think they used that artwork anywhere else. I thought he looked great in that. Oh, this is cool, wordy word. Sat next to John Russo when we watched Screening of Night. Also, because I bought 2 posters and a press kit off him, he gave me a 3rd poster 3, all of which he signed. That's great. I think isn't John Russo still alive, I think? Isn't he? I'm pretty sure he is. Ray says, New Nightmare always gets high ratings. Never understood it as Freddy is barely in it. And Don Max says, New Nightmare is the least fun Nightmare on Elm Street movie aside from the remake. Ooh, not much love for New Nightmare in here. But you all voted it as part of the this tier. And they dropped the ball with New Nightmare, says, oh, Pat. Hey, Pat, how you doing, buddy? They dropped the ball with New Nightmare. Terrible promotion. I remember not hearing about it until it was out of the theaters. Yeah, I mean, we obviously got it, I think, a few months after the US release. And I worked in a cinema at the time, so I knew it was coming. But yeah, I wish I was on the outside so I could agree with you on that. But I knew it was coming. But we just had to wait some months for it. That's all. Okay. 102 of you watching at the moment. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. And we'll kick off the next vote. And it is Martin. What have we got here? 1977, directed by George A. Romero. Main cast is John Amplas and Lincoln Marsall. Donald Rubinstein did the music. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes is Martin. A troubled young man believes he's a vampire, but reality may be more disturbing than fantasy. So let's have a look at the trailer for this one.
My name is Martin, and I'm 84 years old. People think I'm crazy when I tell them how old I am. Or else they think I'm some kind of ghost.
From the director of Night of the Living Dead, Martin, another kind of terror.
I just have a sickness. I just need to drink blood.
I first learned about Martin from the Fangoria Screen Greats Tom Savini documentary. They showed clips from it on there. And I watched it not long after, probably in the mid-'80s or something like that. I don't think I've gone back to it since. I thought it was okay. I don't mind it. I know Second Sight brought a great Blu-ray out of it, or 4K out of it, fairly recently. I think you can still get it. It's one that Nigel Rock God keeps telling me. Oh, you should give it another go. Watch it. The Blu-ray's fantastic. Get stuck into it again. Maybe I'll do that. But you guys have voted Martin in Buried in the Fog. Dear old George A. Romero's got 2 films in the 3rd tier there. Only 3 of you voted it in the top section. 7 of you voted it in Survive the Night, the 2nd tier, and 10 of you in Buried in the Fog. Only 20 of you voted on that one. I guess there's not too many of you have seen Martin. Okay, let's have a look. John Jones says John Russo is still with us. He attends our local Pittsburgh Con pretty regularly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was in the UK in the last couple of years doing the Weekend of the Dead, I think. And I watched the guys over at Dead Pit Radio had Sean Clark on recently, and they were talking about the Monroeville Mall is going to close down. I think they've got two conventions that are set up before they destroy it, basically, before they take the wrecking ball to it later this year. So if any of you are in the area, it might be worth going along and catching up with all those people that are still alive from Dawn of the Dead. I think it'd be quite worthwhile. Martin is well disturbing. I saw it on TV one night alone. Damn, says Retro Game Man Dan. John Neggers says Martin is another one I have forgotten. I haven't gotten round to yet. Brandon says Red Eye is from 2005 and it's pretty awesome. It is. I agree. Paul says I still never watched Martin. The trailer gave me the grub factor. Never fancied it. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's the one that he did. It was sort of sandwiched in between, I think, Crazies and Dawn of the Dead. Andrew says I watched the Really Strange Film Show Romero doc and saw Martin and searched for years for it, and Christ, I was disappointed. Awesome 50 says, love Martin, such an underrated gem from Romero. 110 of you here, folks. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you. Got that Second Sight fantastic film and release, says Daz. It is, you talked to Brandon there. Duke says Martin is Romero's own favorite. I personally love it and find it criminally underrated. Yeah, I think I might have to check this one out again. Bought Second Sight edition as a blind buy. I thought it was okay, but won't rewatch it again anytime soon. Okay. Well, at least I know I've seen it before. I know what to expect. And first seen Martin on BBC Two Videodrome. Maybe that's where I saw it. Bionic Zombie with Alex Cox. Maybe that's where I saw Martin. I can't remember whether I got it on VHS or watched it on the TV. Yeah, Alex Cox. He's still around. Is Alex Cox. Still plugging away. Yeah, too right, Chester. We got 108 people. Let's get them likes up. Absolutely hate the fact they're tearing down that mall. I wish it could have been made. It could have made it into some sort of horror theme park or something. The airport is gone now. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, that that it's going to go. I don't know what they're going to. They're probably going to build apartments out of it or something like that. And there's the statue. Isn't there a Romero statue in there as well? I wonder what's going to happen to that. Probably end up in one of Sean Clark's cabinets or something. Okay, let's kick off the next vote. Actually, let's just take a look at things as they are. So at the moment, in the top tier, we have The Thing, Elm Street, The Fog, Night of the Living Dead, and Scream. So one Romero, 2 Carpenters, 2 Cravens. Second tier, we have Scream 2, They Live, People Under the Stairs, and New Nightmare. So 3 Cravens and 1 Carpenter, and then 2 Romeros in the bottom tier. We've still got some great movies to come, by the way. We've still got the likes of Big Trouble in Little China, Christine, Creepshow, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Escape from New York, Halloween, The Hills Have Eyes, Land of the Dead, and Last House on the Left to vote on. So let's kick this off and find out what's next. And it's The Last House on the Left. Paul, you want a grubby movie? Okay, Last House on the Left. Obviously, Wes Craven's debut movie from 1972. Sandra Cassell, Lucy Grantham, and David fucking Hess. 58% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's have a look at this trailer.
It rests on 13 acres of earth over the very center of hell. Here's the first motion picture to offer to the daring a look into the final, maddening space between life and death. The Last House on the Left. To avoid fainting, keep repeating. It's only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie. Sights and sounds far beyond anything you've tested. The Last House on the Left. To avoid fainting, keep repeating. It's only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie. Take as much as you can. Only a movie.
There we go. Last House on the Left. That trailer was quite long, so the vote has ended. 32 of you voted on this. 3 of you voted it in the Genre Master section. 6 in Survive the Night, and 23 of you buried it in the fog. I think I would probably bury it in the fog as well, to be fair. Okay, let's have a look at this. Where are we with the Last House on the Left comments? Okay, Tony says Last House on the Left deserves its own tier at the very bottom. Nasty piece of crap. John Jones says, I bought Last House on VHS as a teenager. Felt absolutely vile after watching that film. Why no Dream Warriors in the voting? Because Wes Craven didn't direct it, Jamie. It was Chuck Russell. To avoid fainting, don't watch this shit, says Retro Game Man. Last House is such a dirty, uncomfortable feeling movie, more like an old shock documentary, says John Neggers. Awesome 50 says, never liked Last House, just too hard to get through for me. Mind you, I suppose it's better than I Spit on Your Grave. I'm not so sure, and I talked about this the other week. I actually find I Spit on Your Grave a little more... God, I mean, as Dave would say, it's like, do you want to eat shit or shit pizza? Like, at the end of the day, they're both shit, aren't they? I think there's more of an arc with I Spit on Your Grave because, you know, and there's more redemption in that film, whereas it's just absolutely no fucking hope in this one. It's just grubby and grotty, and I really, even just looking at David Hess makes me feel poorly. I need a shower after watching this movie. It's that dirty, says Jay. Yeah, exactly. Last Out on Love, seen it once, never again, says Jamie. Myers fan says, Last really is a piece of shit, and Hess, I love the story, the history way more than the movie. Yeah, the documentary and the commentary is way more interesting than the film itself, I would say. Tony says the film actually worse than I Spit. I agree with you on that. So fucking hell, Tony, we're agreeing on something. Jesus. What? Can someone just clip this moment? I think it achieves on what it wants to be, and that is to shock. Yeah, I agree. Buried in the Fog, says Davey Dread. Dream Warriors, oh shit, of course, down, dope. Yeah. That's all right. He did write it, I think. I think Wes Craven did write Dream Warriors, if I remember rightly. Last House is a meaner and more nihilistic. It is meaner and more nihilistic. I Spit on Your Grave is more exploitative. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, a slightly smaller shit sandwich. Is my audio okay? Because I'm getting some crackling in my ear. Let me know if you hear crackling or anything. It might be just my end, but if there's an issue, let me know, guys, and I'll see if I can rectify it. But yeah, I keep getting like a popping noise in my earphone. Let's kick off the next vote. Land of the Dead. I was so excited when this was announced. I actually watched this in the US on the opening weekend. George A. Romero's Land of the Dead, 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. Simon Baker, John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, and audio is okay. Audio is okay. Great. Okay, that's good. That's good. Let's look at the trailer.
Tonight on Peachtree TV.
Unburied human corpses are returning to life and feeding on the living.
Cities are under siege.
They seek to survive by eating human flesh.
They must be destroyed.
As long as we're alive, they ain't never gonna run out of food. The day they do, it'll mean only one thing. We're all dead.
George A. Romero's Land of the Dead. Tonight at 8 on Peachtree TV. Great movies every night.
There we go. Good movie. It is a good movie. It's kind of like his Out of the Dead movies. What did he do? 6? I think it's... Did he do 6 or more? 6, yeah. Land, Diary, Survival. That was it. I think it's 4th. Definitely 4th. 15 seconds left to vote. I think I would go Dawn, Day, Night. They're all very close, though. They're all like a gnat's chuff away from each other. 3, 2, 1. And the vote is over. The vote is over. And Land of the Dead is, oh, poor old George, is buried in the fog. 6 of you put it in the genre master section. 11 of you in Survive the Night. And 16 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. That's, yeah, that's a shame for old George. Maybe he can come back fighting with Creepshow Dawn and Day. Hopefully. And my fingers are crossed for him. My fingers are crossed for him because I do love him. I really do. Even though he snubbed me for a fucking sausage. Okay, let's have a look in... Okay, where's Romero's Survival of the Dead? We did, I think, I didn't put Survival of the Dead in the vote because it's generally regarded as, yeah, not a great movie. So I didn't even add that one in. I chose Monkey Shines and The Crazies over that. I mean, there's things like Bruiser as well. I didn't include Bruiser. And that, what was the Fairground one that was like completed years later and brought out? I didn't include that one either. Survive the Night for me, says Duke. Nothing beats the original trilogy, in my opinion. I agree. Got quite a soft spot for Land of the Dead. Far from the best in the series, but it's really entertaining. Yeah, it is. Like, if he'd only made Land of the Dead, you'd go, yeah, that's a great zombie movie. But because he made 3 others that were right up here, that's why it's just kind of, yeah, it's all right. Did Peg and Frost have zombie roles in this after Romero? So yeah, I think they had like cameos, didn't they, in Land of the Dead? Alex Cox introduced Werewolf in London on BBC Two Videodrome. He did. He also did, I think he did Halloween and Assault on Precinct 13 as well. Don Mack says, and you can, if you Google them, who was it who said? Oh, Davey Dredd. If you go on YouTube, you can find all his intros. They're all on there. Excellent. I like Land of the Dead, but it's still third tier compared to the rest. And Daz says, solid film, a bland lead, John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper, very fun. Yeah. Dennis Hopper's great in it. Just bonkers. Land of the Dead is very underrated, says Brandon. There's moments of brilliance in there. I would love to see his original vision for it. I know he had a very hard time with the studio. I think he did, didn't he? I'd put Land in Survive tier. I enjoy it, but it's the last decent zombie movie from Romero. I still do like Diary of the Dead because, again, as a visionary, he was ahead of his time with the way people use their phones and consume media and things like that. He absolutely nailed it like 20 years before. We're having all these issues now. And it's fascinating to watch it now. He saw ahead and saw how things were going to be. The fact that people will stand around and film something before they'll get involved and help. Yeah, it's a decent watch. His Diary of the Dead. No crackling. Land is Romero. Land is decent. But yeah, it's crackling in here. I'm glad it's not the microphone. It's just, I think it's my earphones. Got a problem with them. Sorry, Andrew says, no crackling. Land is Romero's last decent film. He should have retired and took Argento with him. And Pat says, Land of the Dead does an amazing job of making you feel sympathetic of the zombies. Yeah, that's a good point. It does. It does. Sympathy for the Zombie is a good title for a film or even a song. Land of the Dead was decent, some good moments. And Count says, some unkind people would say he snubbed a sausage for a sausage, and damn those people. Sausage of the Dead. Right. Let's go on. Let's carry on. The Hills Have Eyes. Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes. 1977. Not as good as the remake, I've got to say. Alex Arger's remake, which won the best remake of recent memory. Best horror remake last week on our tier. Directed by Wes Craven. Dee Wallace, Michael Berryman, Susan Lanier. Music by Don Peake. 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. I do have a trailer, and let's take a look.
What began as a vacation ended as a nightmare. The Hills Have Eyes.
That was a bad mistake.
The Hills Have Eyes. The story of an American family who lost everything except the will to survive. The Hills Have Eyes.
Do. Okay, where are we at the moment? Actually, did we talk about where Land of the Dead ended up? I think we did, didn't we? Yeah, in the bottom. 20 seconds left to vote on The Hills Have Eyes, which is bouncing around the bottom and the middle tier at the moment. 10 seconds left to vote. Poor old Wes and George, honestly. 2 seconds left, folks. And the vote is up. So, 6 of you voted it in the top tier. 13 of you voted it in Survive the Night. And 13 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. Let me just do something with my earphones. There we go. Let's see if that improves things. Let's see what you said in the chat about this. It only just ended up in the middle there. It was just bouncing around all the way through. Temu earphones. You know what? They're actually they're actually Sony ones, which I don't know why, but the cable came out and I glued it back in a few weeks ago, and it's causing all sorts of problems. I should just bite the bullet and get some new ones. I remember looking forward to Land of the Dead before it opened, saw it in the theater and was disappointed. I was just so glad that he'd been able to do it because he'd been talking about it for so long. Daz says, and this is with regards to Hills of Eyes, I think, never liked this film. Much better to read about than watch. Thankfully, a superior remake was made. I agree. Hills is decent Craven, but top tier Craven. Still haven't seen, but not top tier Craven. Still haven't seen the remake. The remake, Awesome 50, is well worth. Make sure you get the unrated remake. There is a US Blu-ray and DVD of the unrated version. I think I like that trailer more than the movie, says Don Mac. And Paul says, Hills, I'd put in Survivor tier. Overall decent, but still prefer the remake. No love for the original Hills of Eyes here. The remake is far superior, says Jamie. And Wraith says it's watchable. The remake blows it out of the water, though. And Andrew says, not as good as the remake, but it's an iconic horror movie nonetheless, but slow by today's standards. Dee Wallace and Michael Berryman are great in it. Yeah, it's Michael Berryman was at For the Love of Horror last year, and Frank from TSL, he went and met him. I just said he was wonderful to talk to. And also, I know Colin Murdy as well met him and said exactly the same thing, said he was a lovely guy. And that seemed to be the vibe all weekend, that he was such a really nice bloke to chat to. Got them free from work. I think I got a discount. I'm going to have to look and try and get some more, I think, because, they're doing my head in, if I'm honest. If you could hear what I can hear, it'd drive you nuts. It sounds like dial-up internet. Don Mac says the remake is better. The sequel to the remake is worse than the original. How can you work for Sony but have dodgy headphones from them? Do you know what? I've had these years. I've had them 10 years or something, but they sound so good, apart from now, that I've been not wanting to get rid of them at all. In fact, I'm just going to... Maybe everything needs a reboot. I don't know. Okay, let's move over to here. Audio crackling now. Okay, you can hear the audio crackling. Right, so it's not my earphones. It's actually... the audio itself. Let me just bear with me a second, folks. Okay, we'll see if that improves anything. Let's see. But let's start the next. Let's rush through these next few votes before the thing dies altogether. Let's have a look at this. Halloween. Here we go. Halloween. While you're watching the trailer, I'll meddle around here and see if I can fix this audio glitch. Where is the trailer first? There we go.
Halloween.
I think he'll come back.
Halloween, the night he came home. Rated R.
All that crackling and everything's fantastic. Okay, so Halloween at the moment is giving the thing a bit of a run for its money. 35 seconds left to vote on Halloween, folks. And it's in first place. It has beaten the thing. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. Just starting to cut out a little bit more now. Ten seconds left to vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so here we go. Halloween has 93% of the vote in the top tier. 37 of you voted it in Genre Master. 2 of you in Survive the Night. 1 of you in Buried in the Fog. That sounds good. Okay, right. The vote has still been going on, so we're on to Dawn of the Dead at the moment. Apologies for this, folks. I'm not quite sure what happened, but it's crackling away like mad. I think the whole thing probably needs a good old reboot. Hopefully you can't hear the crackling anymore. The vote is going too fast. I'm going to pause the vote in a second, folks. Don't worry about it. And we'll talk through what's happened. 1 second, and Dawn of the Dead is over. Okay, so what we had there was we had Halloween come out at the top with 37 votes, 2 in the middle, 1 in the bottom tier. We then had Escape from New York, which finished in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the top tier. And then Dawn of the Dead ended up in 5th place in the top tier. I'm going to take these out because I don't need them in anymore. So, at the moment, Halloween is winning. The Thing is in 2nd. Nightmare on Elm Street in 3rd. The Fog 4th. Dawn of the Dead 5th. Night of the Living Dead 6th. Escape from New York 7th. Scream. And then Day of the Dead in the top tier. We still have 2 Carpenters and 1 Romero to go. So, let's see what happens. Creepshow. Where would you guys put Creepshow? I'm going to play the trailer. There may not be any audio, but we'll see. We'll see what happens if I play it. Hopefully you can
Stephen King and George Romero, the masters of terror, bring you a frightening tale that will grab you, grow on you, and give you the creeps.
This is going to be extremely painful.
Ted Danson, Adrian Barbeau, and Leslie Nielsen in the spine-tingling broadcast television premiere of Creepshow.
Monday night at 8 on Channel 11.
There we go. There's the trailer for Creepshow. And okay, this mic is still crackling. 36 seconds left to vote, folks. Released in 1982. Directed by George A. Romero, of course. Hal Holbrook, Leslie Nielsen, Adrian Barbeau. Music by John Harrison. I think the editing was by John Harrison as well. 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. And 10 seconds left to vote. It's in the top tier. We have 3 Romeros in the top tier at the moment. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And there we go. The vote is over on Creepshow. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top tier there. 24 of you voted it in the Genre Master section. 8 of you voted it in Survive the Night. And 1 of you voted it in Buried in the Fog. Okay, let's have a look at the... thanks for sticking with me while I've had these technical issues. I'm going to have to reconfigure this system, I think, because I had issues the other day when Dave was on the stream. Nice and echoey. Is it echoey? Everybody says we can hear you. Everybody says we can hear you. Okay. Sound very clear now. No crackling. Blah, blah, blah. Day of the Dead. Oh, Day of the Dead was there as well. So while I was fixing everything, a few titles went through. Day of the Dead went into the top tier. Okay. We have trailer audio. Yeah. Good, good. I love Creepshow, says Don Mac. Creepshow genre master for me. Creepshow is top tier for me, says Duke. Who the hell is Romeo? Did I say Romeo? Romero. Creepshow rocks. Creepshow is a masterpiece by Romero. Gotta love Creepshow, said John Neggers. Tony Forrest says I'll watch that on that at 8 on Channel 11. Who's Romero, says Teal Kit. I only know Carpenter and Craven. Creepshow top tier. My life-size ticket booth should be here within a fortnight. The only thing in the franchise that deserves the name, in my opinion. 2's not bad. There's a couple of moments in 2 that are pretty good. Oh, it's obviously not a patch on the original, but 2 is decent, I think. 2 is decent. I think Brandon might relate to Hal Holbrook in this film from what he's said in the past. What with the wife scenes? Maybe. Creepshow is ace, says Wraith. Just call me Billy. Everybody does, says K-Rock. Romero's only good film. Are you nuts, Tony? And Andrew says, Creepshow is up there with Dawn for me. Saw them both for the first time in the same week on video. Daz, you don't know how accurate that statement is, says Brandon. Yeah, lots of Creepshow love here. Ed Harris's dancing is better than Crispin Glover's. Paul says it's not been bad on the viewer's end, mate. No worries. Yeah, it's just, you know, I would have preferred not to have skipped through all those votes there and played some of the trailers, but you know what? Let's have a look at those trailers anyway now. So here's the Dawn of the Dead.
This situation must be controlled before it's too late.
It is too late. They are multiplying too rapidly. Run if you can, but there's no escaping the zombies. George Romero brings you face to face with the dawn of the dead. There's no more room in hell. The dead will walk the earth.
Zombies. Certificate X.
That's a UK TV spot, is that? That's terrific, because obviously it's called Zombies Dawn of the Dead. And then we've got the Day of the Dead TV spot as well. Let's have a look at that.
Day of the Dead.
They have overrun us, you know. Something like 400,000 to 1 by my calculations.
Day of the Dead.
It could be years before we know exactly what we're dealing with here.
Day of the Dead.
Gruesome binding.
The darkest day of horror the world has ever known. George A. Romero's Day of the Dead.
Due to scenes of violence, no one under 17 admitted.
Starts Friday at a theater or drive-in near you. Check newspapers for showtimes.
There we go. Was there any others we missed? No, I think... Oh, Halloween. Oh, we did... Did we do Halloween? Did we do the Halloween TV spot? Yeah, we did. We did. We did. Okay. Day of the Day was the first one I saw as a kid. Shocked the shit out of me, says Retro Game Man. Tealkit says, haven't watched none of this shit, but it's on my watch list for spooky season. Jamie says, I struggle with the pacing of Dawn of the Dead. It's very slow in places. And maybe try the Argento cut, Jamie. Because the Argento cut's got some, you know, it's really pared back. You know, it plays more like an action horror. There's the score is better in there, I think, as well. They've cut about, I don't know, 20 minutes out of it. It really does work well. It works well. Okay, one last movie to vote on. Here we go. Christine. Oh, two movies to vote on. Sorry, there's another one after this as well. So let's have a look at the Christine trailer.
She is seductive. She is passionate. She is Christine, a 1958 Plymouth Fury with a taste for blood. Nothing you can do can stop her. Because how do you kill something that can't possibly be alive? Christine, body by Plymouth, soul by Satan, rated R. Watch out for her soon at a theater near you.
There we go with the Christine trailer. 44 seconds left. Released in 1983, directed by John Carpenter with Keith Gordon, John Stockwell, Alexander Paul. Music by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth. At 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, it's fresh, but, you know, in terms of Carpenter, it could be higher, I think. A bullied teen becomes dangerously obsessed with a possessed 1958 Plymouth Fury that protects him violently. We're in the top tier at the moment, folks, with Christine. 24 of you voted it in the top tier. 5 seconds left to vote. And the vote is over. Christine finishes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top tier. 38 of you voted on that one. 24 voted in the top tier. 11 of you voted it in the second tier. And 3 of you voted it in the final tier there. Let's have a look at what the thoughts are on Christine. I've kind of got a good idea because it was in the horror of the 80s that we did. A lot of Christine fans out there, I think. Christine is the goat, says Teal Kit. Absolutely love Christine, one of my favourite King adaptations, says John Jones. Lee Wilson says, I haven't seen Christine for a long time. I need a rewatch. Andrew says, Christine is good, but not great. It doesn't make my Carpenter top 5. Tony says, I do love Christine. Paul says, Christine is obviously top tier. Bizarre concept, but works fantastically. Hasn't really aged much either, considering. Yeah, that's the thing about Christine. It's pretty timeless because of what the car is, I think. Nick says, Christine, a definite genre master vote for me. Excellent. Logan says, this is one of my favourite Blu-rays. The car is so beautiful when it's fixed up. My least favourite thing is the timeline that goes through several months rather than weeks. And Wraith says, Christine is a solid film, a great score to it. When Christine was released, that car was only 25 years old, like a 2001 model today, says Don Mac. That's true, but I think, isn't Christine set in the late 70s? 77 seems to ring a bell. 50, yeah, so it would be 19 years old, if that was true. I think Christine is set in the late 70s. Am I right on that? Because someone fact check that for me, or am I talking shit? Whenever I rewatch Christine, I'm always surprised at how wonderfully crafted the movie is. Literally everything works perfectly in it. Christine is a good movie that Carpenter did the score, has H3 vibes to it. Great film score by Carpenter and Howarth. H3 vibes, also has H-Ends vibes as well. Christine's mid-tier Carpenter for me, says Muckman. Yeah, I think a lot of people will disagree with that. At the moment, it's his 4th most popular movie in there. Okay. God, a lot of talk about Christine here. Just picked this up on 4K. Nice transfer. I do need it on 4K. I haven't got it on 4K. So expensive on eBay to pick that up. Okay, did anybody... it's set in 1978 in the book. Okay, Christine's set in 78. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Cheers. Right. Last film is... Crackerjack timing. Big Trouble in Little China. What do you guys think of Big Trouble in Little China? Let's have a look at the trailer.
So you think you've seen it all? Well, you've never met Jack Burton.
Who? Jack Burton. Me.
And you've never been to Little China.
You make one move.
Big Trouble in Little China. Adventure doesn't come any bigger. Rated PG-13. Starts Wednesday, July 2nd at a theater near you.
There we go. Released in 1986. 40 seconds left to vote on Big Trouble in Little China, folks. Directed by John Carpenter. This would be the 4th collaboration. Elvis, The Thing, Big Escape, Big Trouble. 4th collaboration between John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, Dennis Dunn. Music by John Carpenter and Alan Howarth. 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. Deserves 100 in my book. I absolutely love this film. 10 seconds left to vote. Only 29 of you have voted. Okay, let's have a look at the final standings. So, Halloween is in 1st place. The Thing is in 2nd. Nightmare on Elm Street in 3rd. The Fog in 4th. Dawn of the Dead in 5th. Christine in 6th. Creepshow in 7th. Night of the Living Dead in 8th. Escape from New York in 9th. 10th was Scream. Big Trouble in Little China was number 11. Day of the Dead was number 12. Scream 2 number 13. They Live number 14. People Under the Stairs number 15. The Hills Have Eyes is in 16th place. 17th place is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. 18th place, we have Last House on the Left. 19th, we have Land of the Dead. 20th, we have Martin. And 21st place, we have The Dark Half. Right. So, what does that mean? The top tier, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Carpenter movies in the top tier. We have 1, 2 Wes Craven movies, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Romero movies. So that's it. John Carpenter is the overall winner, and going by the fact that we agreed that, you know, those that had the most in the top tier, we would rank it that way. I think it's safe to say Romero finishes second and Craven finishes third. Romero did have the most in the final tier, though. That was interesting. Land of the Dead, Martin, and The Dark Half are all in the final tier. But yeah, John Carpenter first, Romero second, and Wes Craven third. But I think we can all agree that they're all absolutely terrific directors. Absolutely terrific directors. Folks, thank you for joining me for this. I'm going to go check, see if the fucking roof is still on with all that's been going on today. Thank you for your patience. It's been a lot of fun. You know, I don't really get flustered by technical issues and things like that. Something happened the other day and my wife went, "You were really calm when that happened." It's just like, listen, people are understanding, people are patient. Somebody's saying in the screen there, I don't care about technical glitches. I needed this stream right now. Thank you, Brandon. Hope you get well soon, mate. Next week, I'm going to reboot all and reconfigure all my kit before I do a stream. I am going to pull rank next week, and we are going to do British horror films. So I'm going to pick 10 British horror films, and I'm going to put the rest out to vote. I'll start putting some posts out over the next few days, so you guys can see what sort of British horror I've got in mind. But as always, if you have any suggestions, feel free to post them in the Facebook group. The Only Sans Facebook group is listed down below in the description there. If you go down there, click on it, and either Brandon or myself will approve your request to join. There's 130 odd people in there already, all chatting away. Feel free to join us, and like I say, suggest some movies for next week's. But definitely, I want to do this Brit horror next week. I think it'll be something really different. Hopefully, we'll get as many people watching. It's been great to see so many of you today. Apologies again for the technical glitches. I will have a go at editing them out tomorrow, so things are a little bit more seamless. But yeah, it's pull what? Pull rank. And buy new headphones, says the. And well, I've discovered it's not the headphones that's the problem. It's actually the I think it's my mixing desk that's the problem. I'm going to have to have a look at that tomorrow and see if everything's okay with it. But my equipment has been on all day today. It's really hot in this room, so it's no surprise if it's starting to glitch at this time of night. Thank you so much for joining me. Before I go, I've got a great super chat there from Nick for $10. He says, "I love the fact that you're accompanying those choices here along with their nostalgic trailers. I saw a great new trailer yesterday called Dolly that resembled the old TCM trailer, Texas Chainsaw Massacre trailer. Really well done." Excellent. Okay, thank you, Nick. I'll check that out. I'll see if it's on YouTube. Yeah, thanks to everybody that's sent in super chats as well. That's really appreciated too. And that's it. That's all I've got at the moment. Check out, keep an eye out over the weekend. There should be more content dropping. I've had a bit of a lull on the pre-recorded stuff at the moment, but hopefully we'll get that back up soon. And yeah, I've got a Room 666 to record this weekend with somebody, with Ronnie actually from All the Good Names Are Taken. He's picked some belters, some absolutely great movies. And then next weekend, Lee from Drum Dums is going to record an episode with us as well. But I'll be back on Thursday with a live for sure on Brit Horror. So I look forward to seeing you then. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.